Hey guys, my name's Gavin, welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys all about sample making again. I did a video a few weeks ago all about sample making, more specifically what effects to add onto your samples to make them sound a little bit more vinyl. So today I'm making a follow-up video, a little part 2. I have a lot of other things in this video that I'd like to talk about, a lot of stuff that you guys probably have never heard from anyone. This is a pretty unique sample, unique effects were added to it, and I'm going to do my best to explain to you guys what I did. Follow me on Instagram at gavinhadley_, and as soon as I get to 600 followers on there, I'm going to release another free loop kit. And also, there's going to be a loop kit linked down below in the description that you guys can go check out, download. Without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so to start, disregard all of these. That's just me being a little too much. Disregard that. Basically, we have the final sample right here, this guy, and then below that, I have all the different MIDI pieces. Here's the final loop that I came up with. So to break it up, we're going to talk about these first three. So these are all one-shot sounds from various one-shot kits that I have on my computer, except for this guy. This is Labs guitar, Spitfire Labs, and it's actually a free plugin. So it's the Moon Guitar Ensemble. So this is what the MIDI looks like. This video isn't as much talking about like how I made this as it is different effects you guys can put on your samples, because I feel like most of you guys, or most people, have like the MIDI down. But the thing that elevates the sample and takes it to the next level is the different effects that you put on afterwards, which is why I'm making a follow-up video to the original video I did, because I have a lot of other effects that I want to talk about today. So this is the MIDI, really simple progression. It's dark, it's in the harmonic minor scale, a really simple dark scale you can use if you're looking to make these dark Spanish guitar, Pyrex, whatever type of loops. It's layered on top of 3 different guitars. So this is the bass one. And you're listening like, what? That doesn't sound like a guitar, that sounds like a distorted piano. You would be completely spot on with your statement. It does not sound like a guitar at all, actually. So what we did, we mute all these, this is what it originally sounds like. Like super high pitched, it really sounds like just a pitched up one shot, because they all start sounding the same once they get pitched up there. So what I did was add an EQ, kind of like what I do with vocals. I cut out a lot of the low and a lot of the high end. This is actually like a sound that goes underneath the guitar and fills it out, makes it a more like unique sound because it has like this whole other element underneath it, but it's the same MIDI. And after that, I just added a reverb to it. And now this is a technique that I saw Nick Mirror do in all of his live streams as of late with the reverb. He adjusts the separation knob. For this, I went like all out, and the separation knob's normally just neutral, 0 separation, but I actually put it all the way to the right. And then I turn up the wet and like I mess with the dry until I get something that I like. And then I have a limiter. I wanted to distort the sound a little bit. You can hear it like this now. And then after the limiter, it adds a little bit of more distortion, a little bit more like crackliness to it. To do that, all I did was just raise the gain and then crank the ceiling super down low. And that just gives it like a more compressed feel. And now after that, we can start talking about the actual guitars that we use. So I'll mute that one for now. This is the main guitar that I use. And effects, I just EQ'd it. I took a little bit of the low end out, boosted these to my liking. Normally I don't do all this EQ stuff, but for this I decided to because I thought the sound could use a little bit of fixing. And then all I did for this isotope vinyl was just distort it a little bit, make it sound a little bit more angry. And then I widened it, and then I boosted the gain to make it a little bit louder. And then I added isotope vinyl free plugin. You guys all know what isotope vinyl is. I stopped using it, now I'm back to using it. I really only use the year knob, and I just put it down to 1980 to make it sound a little bit more old. And then after that, I have this Labs guitar, free guitar like I said before. I added a bunch of effects, but I didn't keep all of them on, so you can see. So I was experimenting, I added vinyl. Again, I just put it to 1970, and then I added RC20, wobbled it just a tiny bit. It's really nothing audible, but it's there. And then I made it less wide, more like centralized, made it a little bit quieter with the gain for whatever reason. And then I just have this magnetic in there. Why not add a little bit of space, just make it sound like a background sound a little bit that just goes and supports the guitar. So after that, I did have a Wolf compressor on. I talked about it in the last video. Super good plugin. It was really good for making your stuff sound vinyl. Highly recommend that you get it if you don't have it, but I didn't end up using it for this sound in particular. So this is what all 3 of these guitars sound like together with the effects that I put on them. Oh yeah, and you can also mess with this knob. This is a stereo separation knob, just like the stereo separation knob inside of the EQ. it works in kind of the same way, except it doesn't just do it through the like reverb, it does it through like the sound itself, if that makes sense. Like everything's getting affected by it. So I mess with these a lot. This is another sound I'll talk about in a little bit. Yeah, as you can see, I really like separating that stuff, and I think it gives it like a more final sound. So after that, we start getting into the accent sounds, which are really important. You might not think that they are, but I feel like that they're really helpful when you're trying to create this sound. So this is the first one, Labs. Again, free plugin. All of these sounds from Labs are free. This is actually like a tremolated guitar, which is what a lot of you guys hear when you hear the Spanish guitar loops. These are just the bass notes for the most part, and then I have the C up here just to give it a little bit more variation. And now to make the sound a little bit less apparent, again, I did vinyl. This was a big vinyl loop. I used a lot of it, put it down to 1980 reverb. I messed with the separation, put the wet up a bunch, and then mixed back the overall mix knob, and then I put halftime on it. But I didn't put halftime like over everything. I actually like moved it back because I didn't want the halftime to affect the isotope vinyl and the reverb, because the halftime kind of overpowers it. You'll see what I mean here. So you can hear it working.
As you can see, the gross beat is working. I don't know how to explain how exactly it's working, but it slows it down and at halftime it. So.
And then see it. You might not be able to hear it depending what you're listening through, but the isotope vinyl I think sounds a lot better when it's above the halftime. And I really liked how I split different like areas of the loop up, if that makes sense. So like the C, I really like the contrast that this higher octave of the sound gives. After that, we're in Labs still, and we are using strings. So this is a really cool sound. I really like the sound a lot. Again, it's just the same pattern as the previous guitar. I just layered it on top. So if you're looking, again, I'm gonna keep giving shout outs to Labs. If you're looking for like strings, guitars, pianos, I know I use Labs piano later on in this loop. It's definitely a plugin that you should check out. Spitfire Labs, free. Again, so this is the strings, and all I did for the strings was add a limiter again. I did that compression thing. Then I added RC20, just wobbled it a little bit and made it a little bit more wide. There's a little bit magnetic stuff going on there as well. These background sounds, like I said earlier, they're really important for these type of loops because they help fill up space. So then after that, moving on, we have another layer here. This is actually part of a one-shot kit that I just started working on. I know I'm extremely late to the whole one-shot making game, but this is just a vocal that I did, and I think it does a really good job in these darker types of loops. So yeah, I just made a pattern for it. You can hear it like a little whistle in the background. And for effects that I put on that, nothing, I just left it dry. It's really like a background sound, except I did mess with the stereo separation a little bit just to make it stand out a little bit more, and like I wanted to like widen it a little bit. After that, we have this whistle. It's like a whistle flute thing from a one-shot kit that I have, and I really like this sound a lot. This is like what you mainly hear when you're listening to the loop. It makes up most of like the melodic components of the loop, aside from the chord progression and the guitar. So this is what that sounds like. And grace notes go a long way. If you're watching this video, you know that, I'm sure. Just throw in a grace note every once in a while. It just gives the loop a cool feeling, like it's actually played out. And for effects that I put on this, I distorted it a little bit, widened it, magnetic again, and a tiny bit of wobble. Nothing audible though. For the delay, this is big. I recommend that you use delay in loops because it just does a really good job at filling up space. So I just left the time knob at 1/3. A lot of people do like 4ths and then the 8ths, but I left it at 3rd. And I was able to do that because this isn't in triplets, but if you tuck back the mix knob, it doesn't really sound like off time or anything. After that, I have this reverb. I just mixed it down so it wasn't as apparent because this Valhalla Vintage Verb is really good, but it like absolutely drenches stuff in reverb right away. So, and then I have this crystallizer plugin. It's a Sound Toys plugin. I really like it, and this is called the Awkwards Pong Hecko. And all I did was like bring back the mix knob, and I'm pretty sure I messed with the delay too. Right off the rip, it was a little bit too present, so that's why I tucked it back. It's almost like another type of delay. But it gives it like a different sort of sound in the delay. It's not just like a quieter version. It adds a little bit of effects to the delay sound, if that makes sense. After that, we only really have one more sound. It's a piano that I only have. I use it pretty sparingly because I felt like we were getting pretty heavy on sounds. So I have this piano, and it's just playing the progressions. Now to make it sound a little bit more unique, I strummed the second 2 chords and both the first 4 bars and the second 4 bars. And there's no really reason in specific as to why I did that. So this is like a little accent. Then I randomized it a bunch. Evolve compressor, here it is. And all I did was compress it just a tiny bit, 13%. And I added reverb and I did the stereo separation thing again. And then after that, I rendered all of these out. We can get rid of them now into this sample. And I thought the sample was missing a little bit more high end, and I thought I could use a little bit more high end rather. And then I also added this bird sound in from a one-shot kit, so that it sounds like. So that's tucked in the background, but then, so if I turn it on. So it adds a little bit of high end, but then you get that vinyl crackly sound. It's really apparent because you're boosting the high end. So I don't know if I ended up doing that or not, but that's just like an option. And I really like this normal EQ, this the free parametric EQ, not the second one, because you can like adjust all the channels individually. You can see that I adjusted a lot of stuff and I added a lot of high end, but that crackly sound, it's actually coming from the strings, I think, because of some of the effects that I put on that, and then the string sound itself had a lot of that in that like vinyl crackly white noise in it already. So that's just something to keep in mind. Make sure you don't overdo it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you were able to learn something. I hope I did a good job following up the first tutorial that I did on this. And if you haven't checked out that video and you're watching this one, I highly recommend that you check it out. It's going to be linked down below again, along with the free loop kit. It has a bunch of loops, like 96 loops and like 79 midis or something. Big kit, linked down below. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep it real. Peace out.